link here. So the model is called Gemini 3.5 Live Translate. It is currently in public preview. And so if you are using AI Studio, the easiest way you can try it out is actually you can share tab from audio. So what you can do is I can share the tab here uh, from the Discord audio. And now I'm really excited to invite Lorena up to the stage as well, who is our amazing community here. Discord community has helped us set up this amazing event, and I want her to say a warm welcome to you all in Spanish.
Hola Thor, hola Nura, hola a todos, muchas gracias por esta bienvenida tan especial.
Hello,
Para mí es un
everyone. Thank you
gusto
so much for
poder
this
estar con
warm
ustedes
welcome.
en este
It's a
momento
pleasure for me
tan
to be
maravilloso y
here
tan
with
grande que es
you
poder
in this moment.
comunicarnos sin
So
totalmente
wonderful and
ningún
so
límite.
great that it's
Sabemos
possible to
que el
communicate
verdadero valor
without
de la
any
tecnología radica en cómo
limits at
nos
all.
une y con
We
esta traducción
know
en
that the
vivo que
true
hoy
value
estamos
of technology
experimentando,
lies in
creo que
how it
estamos logrando
unites us.
que ese
And with
momento
this
vaya
live
mucho más allá
translation
de lo
that we're
básico
experiencing
porque estamos
today,
logrando
I think
construir
we're managing to make
conexiones
this moment
auténticas en
go
tiempo
far
real
beyond the
y así
basics
estamos
because we're
construyendo
managing
ese
to build
futuro
connections that
rompiendo
are
las barreras del
authentic in
idioma
real time.
totalmente.
And so we're
Así
building
que
that
es una
future
gran
where we're
oportunidad
breaking down the
para
barriers of
que
language
usemos la
completely.
herramienta
So
para
it's
que
a
nos
great
podamos
opportunity
comunicar
that
sin ningún
for
problema en
us to
cualquier
use
parte
the
del
tool
mundo y
so
ya
that we can
tampoco el
communicate
no
with
hablar un
any
lenguaje
problem anywhere in the world. And
particularmente o poder
someone
comunicarnos
not
en nuestra
speaking
lengua
a
materna
language
es
in
una gran
particular
ventaja.
or
Así que
being able to
nuevamente muchas
communicate
gracias,
in our
Thor,
native
muchas gracias,
language is
Anura,
a
por
great
permitirnos ser
advantage.
parte
So again, thank
claves
you so much.
de
Thank you so
este
much to Nora
pequeño
for
momento
allowing us to be
histórico
part
y
of
también muchas
a
gracias
key
a todos
part
por
of
unirse y
this
ser parte de nuestra
small
comunidad.
historic moment. And also, thank you all for joining and being part of our community.
Yes, I hope you were able to hear the audio coming in as well. And the cool thing is now, Anuda, for example, speaks a bunch of different languages. Do you want to say welcome as well in a different language?
ඔව් මම දැන් සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න යනවා. සිංහලෙන් කතා කරාම කියන දේ උගලන්ට ආයෙ ඉංග්‍රීසියට ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේට් වෙලා එන්නේ.
Something happened to me
ආ
earlier. Something happened to me earlier.
ගොඩාක් සතුටුයි කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම ගෙනල්ලා ප්‍රශ්න වලට උත්තර දෙන්න.
Okay, I think I messed up the demo here.
Here in English to translate.
So I might have spoken into it. Sorry about that. Took you a moment. Okay, we'll have more moments later. So that is for you as a developer. Is the easiest way to try this out is in Google AI Studio. But now we also have a demo for you. Let's see. So what we want to do is actually we want to allow you all to tune in your favorite language. And so I've built this demo here. One second. Um, okay. So let me share this tab. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enable my own microphone and I'm also going to enable the browser tab. So we have everything together here now. And what you can do is you can scan this QR code and you can navigate. I'll put it in the chat as well. So you can navigate to this page here, and then you can tune in your preferred language. So we can see now what we're doing. So this is using LiveKit in the background. LiveKit is a fantastic partner of ours that makes it really easy to build real-time conversational experiences at scale. And so now we're going to see, so basically what we're doing here is that now for each person that is tuning in and that is choosing a new language, we're spinning up a new session with the Live API. And I think we can see here now there's a bunch of sessions happening. And I'm also going to tune in German as well. So I'm going to select German here and then going to listen in. Obviously, I will need to mute it. Otherwise, we will have, okay, fantastic. So now we're really stress testing this here. So for every session, we are setting up a new Gemini Live session. For every language, we're setting up a new Gemini Live session. And then once the session is active, anyone else who's choosing that language will then just get that broadcast. And I think we might be hitting some API limits here already in terms of parallel sessions. There might be some limitations here. So actually the German, no, I think the German is now live. Okay, maybe we're just, we had to spin up. So this is deployed to Google Cloud Run. We also have a tutorial for you if you want to check out kind of how to build this yourself. We have a tutorial and we have the code available for you as well. So that is here on dev.to. And so hopefully it'll work. So we'll leave this running for the entire show. And you obviously can, if you're listening in a different language, you can mute the audio of the Discord and tune in. Okay, brilliant. So we'll see how this goes. And this is Gemini Live Translate. So very exciting. If you look at, obviously what makes Gemini really, really special is the multimodality of it. And so you probably have heard of Nano Banana. You've probably heard of Gemini Omni, which just came out during I/O. We also have Lyria 3, which is our new music generation model. And then also we have some really, really cool models on the audio side. So for example, Gemini 3.1 Flash Live. So that's our real-time conversational model. So that's a turn-taking model. It also can speak many, many different languages, 70 plus different languages that you can just naturally switch between. Gemini 3.1 Flash TTS. So that's our speech generation model. So if you need some voiceovers, need to generate some podcasts, you can do that. And now the newest one in the family here is Gemini 3.5 Live Translate. Now, if you have any questions about these models and specifically Gemini 3.5 Live Translate, we have Anuda here who's working very, very closely with all the researchers on the Live Translate side. So, please do ask us questions. And we will try and answer them. So just put your questions in the chat. We'll have the team monitor these, and we will then see what is going to happen. Okay, so we'll look at, a bunch of people are listening into the translation. I guess a bunch of folks are listening in English. We have someone listening in English as well. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt auf Deutsch weiterspreche, die Person, die jetzt auf Englisch reinhört, die würde das dann auch auf Englisch hören. Leider scheint es ja nicht so, dass sehr viele Deutsche hier heute dazu hören. Das heißt, wenn ihr also noch nicht zuhört auf Deutsch, dann in der Live Translate Session, dann solltet ihr das jetzt mal machen. Oder ihr könntet auch auf Japanisch zuhören. Ich mache das jetzt hier komplett auf Deutsch heute. Das heißt, ihr müsst auf die Live Translate Session zuschalten. Okay, also falls ihr das verpasst hattet, if you missed it earlier, the link for the live translation broadcast is here. So that's where you can tune into the transcript of the live translation. So I'm, for example, here tuning in German. And so if I'm sharing this tab, okay, let me see if you can see that now. So this is my German translation. And so as I'm speaking German here, you can see that the audio transcription of the German speaking is also being translated. So if I actually unmute the site, you will hear me speaking in German. But I actually leave this site muted so that we don't have the audio kind of overlapping there. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Sharing this to Discord. Okay, I'm sharing a lot of tabs to a lot of things at the moment, so we'll see. Rate exceeded. Okay, do we have the rate exceeded? I hope not. Who's saying rate no. Okay, so which rate is that? Okay, I'll have to tune into that. Sorry about that. We're stress testing the things here. Okay, cool. Good question, which rate that is. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So if you didn't manage to jump onto the demo session, sorry about the hiccups. Where I'm still trying to figure out how to scale up this demo correctly. But you can also try this out in the Google Translate app. So if you scan this QR code and you have Google Translate installed, it will take you to the live translation mode. So in this case, it'll spin up a dedicated session on your device, and then that session will be just for you, and it'll do the live translation on your device. The best experience will be if you use your headphones. So if you have some noise cancelling headphones, connect that to the Google Translate app on your phone, and then do the listening in. That gives you the best kind of live translation experience there. In terms of how this works on the API, so it is the Live API. The Live API enables low latency, kind of real time voice and vision interaction. So in this scenario, this live translation model does not have vision capability. So this is a purely speech to speech model. It also doesn't have any turn. So it literally just parrots whatever is being spoken by the speaker into the target language. So that is how this works, and that is enabled on the Live API. So on the Live API, you'll send the audio chunks to your server, to the Live API, and then you stream back the audio response there. The key features on the Live Translate API, we have, as I mentioned, 70 plus languages. There is more languages that we're looking to make available, but you can find these in the documentation. So these are 70 plus target languages that we can translate to at the moment, which actually gives you something like 2,000 kind of language pairs that you could translate in between. The API automatically tries to replicate the voice of the speaker, making it kind of a smooth, natural sounding translated speech that actually preserves the speaker's intonation, pacing, and pitch. So, no matter what language you're speaking, ideally you should have a very close listening experience to how the speaker kind of delivered that speech. And then near real time. So again, the model is basically listening to the speech to the point where it can understand what is going on, and then it starts immediately streaming out the translated speech in kind of high quality, high accuracy, and low latency. And then also audio transcriptions, you get the audio transcription of both the input, so the source speech, as well as the output, the target speech, so the translated speech. And then we can see the input kind of coming out in German, if we're listening to German, for example. Okay, yeah, so Live API partner ecosystem, we have some great partners. So in my example here that I shared with you, we're using LiveKit. Maybe I had to update my LiveKit infra, which I thought I had done, but maybe I did something wrong, and that's why the demo is kind of stalling out here. But yeah, otherwise LiveKit, Agora as well, Software Mention, Vision Agents, PipeCat. So these are all fantastic developer tools to allow you to build kind of these broadcasting experiences pretty seamlessly, and then stress test them in a Discord AMA. Okay. So as I mentioned, the easiest way to try the Live API is in AI Studio. You can simply just share audio from a tab, from a video, for example, and then see both the transcript and the translated speech coming in. Fantastic. So that's what we had kind of here. Let me see. We can jump into the questions now. I believe we unfortunately lost kind of the live translation session. Yeah, I think we lost some infra on my end, so we'll dig into that.
Yeah. I think folks can still try Google AI Studio though.
Yes.
It should be a very similar experience using the share tab, just like Thor showed us at the beginning.
Yeah, so that's those folks at Google, they know what they're doing infra-wise. I don't, so my demo broke down. But thank you so much for stress testing it with us there. Okay, let's see. Anuta, were you seeing any good questions that you would want to jump in on?
Yeah, we can get started. So I think the first question came in from Rohit, asking if we can do this on a smartphone. So yeah, the main way you can do this on the smartphone is using the Google Translate app, like Thor showed you. So basically, on both Android and iOS, you can download the Google Translate app, connect headphones, and hear the world around you translated in real time, and it'll use the same Gemini 3.5 live translate model. In addition to that, like Thor mentioned, this is an API, a live API, that you can connect to via WebSockets. So if you guys are building mobile apps, you can build various translation capabilities using that API as well. But Google Translate is the way you can try it immediately.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, if the question was kind of as a developer, then yes. So the underlying technology that you use it as a dev is the WebSocket. And so the WebSocket, there is client libraries available depending on kind of the kind of app you're building. You could use, for example, the Firebase AI SDK that has client libraries for mobile apps. Or if you're using one of our partners like LiveCase or Agora, they also have client libraries to allow you to integrate this into your applications.
So the next question, a couple of questions, I guess, about dialect support. So someone asks about different dialects for Arabic, and then someone has also asked about different kinds of English, so UK versus US English. So right now we don't support a lot of fine-grained dialects. We only support Brazilian Portuguese and Portuguese and simplified and traditional Chinese. Actually, maybe Tar, if you can share the list of languages,
Yeah.
that might be helpful. But yeah, we are working on supporting more dialects, like different dialects of Arabic and different dialects of English, like UK versus US English. So you can expect that to be available soon.
Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of the dialects, I'm not sure we specifically document them at the moment. I think right now we're just documenting kind of the main languages. Um, I actually would need to check if we can, can we
I think
specifically target accents as well?
so, at least for Portuguese and Mandarin, so simplified versus traditional, I think we just list them as two different
Ah,
languages in
yes.
the list. Um,
Yeah, that's correct. You can see them. So it's kind of okay, let me link this to you, supported languages here. Let me drop that into the chat. So you can see for some of the languages, there is the BCP 47 code as the hyphen, which then has kind of for example, Portuguese, Brazil, Portuguese, Portugal, yeah, Chinese simplified, traditional. Yeah, exactly.
cool. So the next question from Gabrielle is it keeping track of the earlier conversations when it's translating, as in to make the translations more accurate? So within a session, we do keep everything in context, so that helps the model generate better translations. But across sessions, we don't maintain any state. This is something that we're looking at, like basically being able to prompt the model with more context. to improve translation quality, but right now it's just within a session.
Nice. I'm just trying to set up the translation broadcasting demo again, and just to see maybe if we can test it again. I think we might have hit some rate limits, but let's try it again.
Do you want to keep moving along, Thor, or do we
Yeah,
have a bunch more
let's grab
questions?
another question. Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, can this translate music lyrics? Um, so the model always produces clean audio on the output side. So if you have background music or noise or anything like that, the model will always produce like studio quality translated audio basically. So that doesn't make it great for translating music because you'll only hear the words basically translated. You won't hear any of the audio. And the other thing is that depending on how clear the lyrics are, the model might not catch what's being said correctly. But it does kind of work, so you guys should give it a try and see how well it works. I don't know, Thor, if you've tested music at all.
No, actually, I haven't. It's a good question. It's funny because yesterday, actually, someone mentioned to me they were testing Gemini 3.1 Flash Live to basically they were humming classical music to it. And the model was actually able to detect what classical music was being hummed to it, which is pretty incredible, kind of the audio understanding capabilities of Gemini. Now, yeah, in terms of music translation lyrics, I think like um, if you sing to the model, that probably should work pretty well. But yeah, I guess it depends on the model is also quite good at like removing kind of background noise. So you know, obviously, it would take out all the music of it. But yeah, feel free to test it in AI Studio. Yeah.
Cool. So the next question from Daniel is translations are rarely the same length as the original. From what I know, a German sentence can be half as long as in English, and Japanese probably twice as long. When you're preserving the speaker's pacing and intonation, how do you keep the translated audio in sync without it drifting or sounding sped up? Do you time stretch, buffer, or something smarter? Great question. This is, I think, like one of the biggest challenges with real-time Babelfish style translation like this. Um, in general, we aren't too prescriptive in terms of what the model should do, and we definitely don't do anything on the orchestration side to speed up or slow down translated audio. Um, there's a piece of this which is like context and like needing enough context to translate, and then there's another side of it around speaking rates or like the density of the different languages. So on the first piece around like context and different word orderings. So if you go from Japanese to English, for example, in Japanese the verb shows up at the end. So it's like an SOV language, whereas English is a SVO language. So as a result, if you're translating from Japanese to English, the model will need context basically before it can finish translating the sentence because the verb will only show up at the end. So because of this, this is why you see at the beginning the model takes a little longer to start translating between language pairs like this. And it might even pause during the translation session if it decides like, hey, I need to wait for more context before I can start translating. So that's how we get around that. The model basically like intelligently decides based on context that it has in the languages, whether it needs to wait or whether it should translate. And this is like Gemini's multilinguality coming into play here to make those decisions and give you high quality translations that still sound smooth. On the second question of the speaking rate, so Spanish, for example, to say the same thing, you need more syllables, or like it'll take longer to say the same thing compared to in English. So here again, like we don't do anything on the orchestration side to speed up or slow down things. We've basically trained the model to produce translations that are both accurate and sound natural, and we make sure that the model never exceeds the input audio length by too much. So generally it'll be like 3 to 4 seconds behind, but never beyond that because that prevents um, real-time translations from happening smoothly. Um, and the model basically has like learned to produce adaptations or translations that are still accurate but sound fluent despite these differences in language. So yeah, I guess it's like a lot of data and not a lot of too prescriptive orchestration or anything like that. And it's been working pretty well so far.
Yeah, nice. I see another question here. Can the model simultaneously convert to two different languages? For example, I'm speaking in Spanish and I want to know how it is written in English and similarly in Japanese. So can it do this simultaneously, or we need to do it twice, once for English and another one for Japanese? So I think depending on your use case, so like in the demo that you know that I shared, we actually need to spin up one unique session per unique language. So you wouldn't be able to get multiple languages, like multiple tracks of audio on the Live API session. So that's not possible. So right now it's basically one target language per session. So as you create the session, you pass in the target language. You can have multiple input languages, so the speaker can switch between the input languages, very seamlessly, and the model would kind of detect that and translate in between. But the target is kind of set per session. So that's currently on the API, the limitation. Now, if you're doing something that's not real time, right? If you're just saying, okay, I have some speech here, and I want to know what is that in English and in Japanese and in Malay. If you just use asynchronous Gemini, Flash, for example, Gemini 3.5 Flash has really good audio understanding, and you could actually just put in the speech, do an API request, and then get back all the different translations in one go. So if it's not a real-time use case, you can do that with just Gemini. But in the real-time live speech-to-speech translation use case, you have one target language per session. Yeah.
Cool. We have another question about code switching from Daniel. Um, Basically, like when you use a second language when you're speaking in the input, whether the model is robust to that. Yeah, it is quite robust to code switching. It may not do a great job of using the right amount of code switching in the translated audio, but from what I've seen, at least in all the testing leading up to this launch, on the input side, the model is very robust to handling code switching. And it does a decent job, especially if you're translating things like technical terms. If you say like Gemini or WebSockets or this sort of thing, and I think we showed some of this in the demo video as well. The model does a pretty good job of code switching in a way that sounds natural and in a way that someone actually giving a technical talk in the target language would speak.
Nice. Is there any native integration with Meet or Microsoft Teams? Well, Meet, yes. So we actually have it in a private preview at the moment for enterprise Google Meet users. So if that's interesting, I think I'm actually not sure. I need to check how the access is kind of how the rollout is happening there, but it is kind of a private preview at the moment, and it's rolling out, I think, to Google Meet more broadly soon. Microsoft Teams. If you work at Microsoft and you're interested in using this, yeah, reach out. Let us know. I don't think Microsoft has implemented that in Teams just yet. Cool.
There's another question about WebSockets store. So from
Yeah.
Devrel, asked the question is for the WebSocket, assuming it's streaming in and out, how is the data being returned in real time for rendering output?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, if you go to the Gemini Live Translate docs, you can see it's kind of PCM audio, 16 bits, little endian. So it's kind of a specific audio codec sort of that you need to feed in. And sort of, we recommend kind of chunks of 100 milliseconds is a good default for the live translate use case. And then in return, you're also getting kind of PCM 16-bit audio back down. And then you basically need to handle kind of depending if you're on the server, you can, sort of ingest that into, whatever you're using to then distribute it to the end user. You can also do a direct client connection. So we do have a ephemeral token endpoint as well in the API. And so you can spin up a short-lived token, what we call kind of an ephemeral token, and then send that to your client, like your browser or your mobile phone, to then create the WebSocket connection directly on the end device, which might save you a little bit, give you a little bit latency gains as well.
Cool. There's a question from Giri about latency and how low latency we are. So yeah, I think you saw in the demos that we showed, one of the big selling points of this feature is that, or this model is that it starts translating almost immediately when the speech begins. Um, Roughly, we're like 2 to 4 seconds behind in terms of latency. And like I said earlier, like it depends on the language pair. So if you're going from English to Spanish with the same word ordering, the model will be able to keep up and start translating quicker. If you go from Japanese to English, it'll be slightly slower, but regardless, it is a low latency model that keeps up and is real time. And that's what unlocks a bunch of new use cases that maybe wasn't possible with previous live API models.
We can try it watching the World Cup abroad. Can it keep up with a Spanish commentator? I'd like to know, Kanye. Kanye says. It's a good question. Have you tested it with a live Spanish football commentator?
Yeah, I've done quite a lot of testing. This is actually one of the use cases that is very compelling and exciting to most of us on the team. Uh, Partly because like we're all big fans of sports and football and the World Cup. And obviously it's a very global event, so translating, and you also have these like iconic commentators, right? So making sure that you can listen to them in any language is very compelling. Um, but the other reason is that from a research perspective, commentary is like a very interesting and difficult translation problem, partly because of the speech element. So there's a lot of prosody and emotion, as you can imagine, right? And reproducing that is difficult today. The model does a decent job because it's a speech-to-speech model, but what you'll see is that it doesn't do a great job of reproducing all of the prosody. But then the second reason is that actually translating sports commentary is not easy, because a lot of the sayings and phrases and how you refer to things in sport is different from language to language. So doing things in real time, in a way that produces fluent translations is actually quite a difficult problem. And then maybe the third reason is that there are a lot of entities mentioned in sports commentary. So things like player names, specific rules, stadiums, venues, so on and so forth. So it's a use case that we're spending a lot of time on and understanding how the model performs on, but it does work today, so you should try it out, and would love to hear more feedback about what you guys notice.
Nice. Yeah, one question here on the pricing. Yeah, pricing is also on our docs page. So the way it works is it's sort of kind of a tokens, input output tokens mix. Now, because this is a live translation, session, you're basically input. You have input plus output. So roughly, you can see it sort of comes down to a rate of kind of 25 tokens per second. of audio, and that is sort of approximately 0.0368 USD per minute. So what's that? 3.7 cents per minute. Is that accurate? I believe so. So after this live stream, my I need to explain to my project owner the cost. Because we have a lot of sessions here. Now, some folks are still listening. It's nice. We have some folks listening in Tamil, in Portuguese, Mandarin Chinese. Yeah, nice.
Cool. Another question from Devrel Russ. Since this model is speech to speech, with what you mentioned with Gemini learning context about the conversation as it goes along, how does it work? Does it have another layer of speech to text for the model to do the context before generating the rest of the response? So the model is speech to speech in that we stream the input audio to Gemini, and then the model continuously produces translated audio. But in addition to the translated audio, the model also spits out the transcripts that you see. So the input text that you saw on the left side of the UI and the translated text that you saw on the right side of the AI Studio UI. But all of this happens end to end by the same model. So we don't use a separate model for transcription. It's all coming out from Gemini.
Yeah, nice. Did we answer this one? No, I would be interested to know if it's possible to set up two-way translation for a meeting. I will speak Czech and the other party will hear English, and the other party will speak English and I will hear Czech. So yes, it is possible, but it means that you have two target languages. So currently on the API, you would have to have two separate Gemini Live sessions. So you can definitely build that. Just know that you will have two sessions running at the same time to do the two simultaneous, is that the word? Translations. Ah, wow. Yeah, folks have a lot of questions. This is awesome. I think we have a little bit more time. Let's see. Do you see another one, Anuda, that looks
There's a question about translation quality degrading over time. So over like a 1 hour session, as earlier context is lost, is there a context window limit on the stream? So actually we retain the context throughout the session. You shouldn't see any degradation in quality. We've tested it quite a bit on pretty long sessions, including on like live streams that are over an hour long, Google Meet calls that are 30 minutes to an hour long. So you should continue to get good translations. I think a couple of things that might be worth mentioning. So one of them is that the Gemini API has a 10-minute limit. So you need to go through the reconnection process to reestablish the connection and continue to receive translations. And then the second thing maybe is around voice consistency. So we are spending a lot of time like trying to improve this, but the model sometimes has issues with voice drift. So even if you have a single speaker speaking, the voice in the translated audio might sound slightly different over time. But those are, I think, the main two things to look out for with long sessions. But I mean, we're shipping this in Meet, and a bunch of other very long session use cases are using it as well. So hopefully you shouldn't see any big issues that um, prevent you from adopting this.
Yeah, on the session management, so there is a mechanism that's called session resumption. So I'm using that in the demo as well. Basically, you get a go away flag from the WebSocket API, and then you just use that. You get like a previous handle, and then you just instantiate a new session. It works pretty seamlessly in the background. You just kind of need to implement it. Yeah. Cool. I think there was another question not specifically actually on translation, but for real-time voice assistant. Is Gemini optimized more for push-to-talk workflows or truly continuous conversational experiences with automatic turn detection? Yeah, so Ivan, depends, I guess, where you're from. Yes, so Gemini Live is specifically optimized for real-time conversational experiences. So Gemini 3.1 Live Translate, it has automatic VAD, so that's kind of the voice activity detection built in, which means that it'll detect when the user is speaking. The user can interrupt the model as it is speaking. Um, so it really is optimized. You don't need to push or mute. It really does work well. 3.1 Flash Live as well is really good now at kind of filtering background noise and sort of focusing on the foreground speaker. And so yeah, if you haven't tried it, would love for you to try it out. It's also in AI Studio. You can try it out. AI.dev/live. Yeah.
Well, I think another similar question to the one we took earlier. So can this be paired with on-device Gemma 4 for the speech-to-text part, then shipping a text stream to a live translator? Um, so the model does produce transcripts on both the input and output side. So you'll get both the input transcript and the output transcript for both the input audio that you're sending up and the translated audio that the model sends back. So you shouldn't need to use any other models. But if you are doing something on top of the text, like summarizing it or I don't know, building some nice UI on the fly to present the text, you might want to use a second text model. But hopefully the API gives you everything that you need.
Yeah. So at the moment, you have to ingest audio. You won't be able to do the translate from text. So you can't actually ingest text as a modality into the model at the moment. So what's really cool though with Gemma 4 is you can actually get speech to translated text, not translated audio, but Gemma 4, even on device, has native audio capabilities, which is really cool. So you can actually transcribe on device, or you can go directly from speech to translated text in Gemma 4. Really cool. Sweet. I think we have 3 more minutes before we wrap up.
There's another question from Ivan around how we handle slang, idioms, and cultural references that don't have direct translations. So this is another area where like there's a pretty big trade-off between latency and real timeness and fluency of the translation, right? Because most of the time to translate idioms and cultural references correctly, you need to wait until you hear the whole thing. So I think what you'll find most of the time with our model today is that unless the idioms are very short, you'll end up getting a very literal translation. But this is again like one of the things that we're trying to improve the model on. So basically, teaching the model like, hey, this sounds like like slang. Let me basically wait for more context and then give you a better translation. But today, depending on how long the idiom is, you might end up with something more literal.
Cool. Oh, Ivan has a lot of questions. So there's multiple Ivans, maybe. But there's another one. What is currently the biggest bottleneck preventing real-time AI assistants from feeling indistinguishable from human conversation? I think it's interesting because the models actually are getting really, really good at this. But I think there's another challenge around it. It's just that the general infrastructure around it, right? Like if you look at the um, anatomy of a human ear and like a human brain and speech, ears and vocal cords are incredible feats, feats of nature, and replicating, even just the real time um, audio kind of piece, like the real time communication piece, in kind of a distributed, global infrastructure scale, is quite difficult. And so it's actually not just the model that kind of needs to adapt, and like innovation needs to happen, but also sort of the body around it, right? Like the protocols, how we're sort of delivering real time audio, how we're kind of handling, interruptions, and humans are very natural at kind of speaking at the same time. Actually, like if I were to, say something that's utterly wrong, I hope that Anuda would like jump in and interrupt me and like, hey, no, 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 this is wrong, right? And so right now that doesn't happen, and so um, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say something very similar actually. So yeah, I think one thing that is missing in a lot of the um, assistants or like audio dialogue products, including ours, is that it's still turn by turn. So the model will never speak over you. You can always expect the model to speak after you're done speaking, and you can interrupt the model, of course, and the model will stop speaking. But the model will never speak over you. So it'll never do things like back channeling, where as I speak, you say things like yes or I got it or say I understand, this sort of thing, and acknowledge what I'm saying, right? Um, so that is actually like one of the big reasons why we're excited about speech to speech translation and Gemini 3.5 Live Translate, because it's like a first step towards having a full duplex streaming audio model. Because with streaming translation, the model is always speaking, right? No matter what is being said in the input, and it's always speaking on top of the input. Step, first use case in getting to this more seamless full duplex world where even in dialogue you have very low latency back and forth conversation with the model acknowledging what's being said and reacting to the world around it. But yeah, I think that's one of the big areas that we're excited about.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I think maybe one last question. What else? Mm, 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 mm. Oh, someone was asking us to do a singing singing example. I don't know. We're probably not going to do that. My singing days are over. Okay.
There's a question about mime types and 16K audio.
Yeah, server-side expectations. Yeah, I mean it is fairly strict in terms of like if you're sending the wrong rate, the audio might sound distorted, and that's not something you want. So yeah, I would follow the rate and audio chunk kind of guidance pretty closely. What's the frequent use case at Google this is used for? Um, that's a good question. I mean, I think Google Meet is probably one of the most frequent use cases that we see is kind of translating meetings in real time.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
Google Meet and Google Translate are definitely the biggest use cases, but yeah, there are so many use cases, both internally and externally. I think a bunch of you have mentioned YouTube. Some folks have mentioned Android and Pixel. So yeah, you can imagine like Google builds a bunch of global products, and speech and audio is a part of most of these products. So speech to speech translation has been a thing that people have been trying to do for a long time, and is something that a lot of folks in the company are excited about.
cool. All right. With that, thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for all your questions. Really, really cool to see, and would love to see and hear what you built with the Gemini Live API and the Gemini Live Translate model. And yeah, thanks so much, Anuda, for taking the time and answering all our questions.
Yeah, happy to be here and super excited to see what people build and any feedback that people have about the model as well, because it's so new and something that we're super excited about as well.
Awesome. Sweet. Thanks so much also to all our awesome community folks and all of you as well in the community for hanging out, for asking each other questions and answering questions and helping each other, and really appreciate you all. Thanks so much.